Hello, my name is Lorraine Garvey. I'm of District 32. I'm really excited to be interviewing Clayton Treloar today of MBE Australia. How are you, Clayton?
Good, Lorraine. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. All the better for talking to you.
On this rainy day.
Yeah, you got to love it, right?
Yeah.
So Clayton, before we start, I'm really excited about the topic today and want to dig into the 5Ps or your definition of what the 5Ps are. But before we get there, can you just share, please, what is MBE Australia?
Okay, so MBE, for those that don't know what it stands for, is mailboxes, etc. It's been around since 1985 or something, and started in the US and then came to Australia in 1995. We've kept the name, but our slogan is design, print, deliver anywhere. So what we do is we offer we're a business service centre. We offer 3 levels of business. We do printing, which covers business cards, booklets, brochures, banners, signage, everything you can think of that you can print. And we offer pack and ship service. So we're an agent for DHL, Toll, UPS, FedEx and TNT. And we also offer which is how the company started, offer our mailbox solutions, which is like a virtual address it's similar to Australia Post, but not a PO box, but an actual street address. So you can use it for business or personal. And we have 40 locations around Australia that I run. And
Wow.
We're part of a bigger chain from, actually our headquarters is based in Milan in Italy, with a group of 2,800 locations worldwide. So yeah, pretty big company.
That's a big outfit.
How
did you end up being, how did you end up where you are?
Look, I started in 2012. I bought a franchise. I was a franchisee. I started off in the Perth CBD and enjoyed the business so much that I ended up buying into the franchise, the master license, which is the head office based in Sydney. And I decided to stay on as CEO and a partner. And now I'm running 40 locations across the country. I think when I took over in 2013, there was about 25 stores. So we're up to about 40. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think we just have to say hats off. That's no easy undertaking.
No, it keeps me busy.
No, I can imagine. And they're Australia-wide, right? They're all over. So I can imagine that must be quite a management undertaking.
It is. It's a lot harder managing a franchise organisation than, say, a corporate organisation. Franchisees are business owners themselves. They own their business, they're buying the name, they want to run their business relatively their way, right? Whereas a corporate organisation, you can pretty much almost dictate how you want every little T crossed and I dotted. Yeah. So being involved with a franchise group, you're dealing with 40 different, types of people. You've got to adjust and learn to, change your style, I suppose.
It's all about managing personalities. Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes back to people,
Yeah, absolutely.
But well, yeah, hats off to you there. That's an amazing achievement, and you're still growing. You've still got that ambition. Yes. But Clayton, today we're going to talk about. I could talk about lots of subjects with yourself, and I'm going to later in the year. One is particularly around franchising. I'd love to do another one just on marketing. But today we're talking about the 5 Ps according to you. Your 5 Ps, Clayton. Please share with us what that is.
My 5 Ps are proper planning permits peak performance. And the reason I say there's 5 Ps based on that, because the biggest word is planning. Obviously, people, if you Google the 5 Ps, you'll come up with all sorts of information. There's people and profit and, there's the marketing Ps and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, you can't be truly successful and reach your targets and reach your goals if you don't plan on how to get there. And plan properly. So this is why I say proper planning permits peak performance. If you plan and you just wing it, you might still be successful, but is it going to be at your peak? Are you going to achieve 110% of what you wanted to set out to achieve in the beginning? So that's why I sort of put in the 5 Ps is it's all about proper planning permits peak performance.
So I've got loads of questions just on the back of that. Let's start with, I'm going to go back to the planning because that's the big one. When you're talking about peak performance, you're talking about the performance of the business or the business owner or both? Are you talking about the business?
Mainly the business, yes. At the end result is what do you want to achieve in your business? Do you want to scale it? Do you want to grow it? Simply, do you want to achieve $1 million in sales for the year? Okay, great. How are we going to get there? And that's why you've got to plan properly. And there's so many different ways of planning.
Why do you think people do fail to plan?
They sort of become probably clouded in where they want to go, and some people get very excited and they go, they might meet somebody and, a finance planner or a marketing person or a new staff member or something that can run their business for them. And they go 100 mile an hour and realize that they haven't actually physically sat down and laid out all the steps to how they're going to get there. People just tend to jump over steps and wonder why they take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It would be so much better if you could just keep going forward and forward and forward. And that's like a perfect world. Everyone has to take a step back. We all do. But I'm just trying to sort of minimize taking that many steps back. Try and always think ahead. One thing that I have always done in any business I've run is I've always thought long term, not short term. Too many people think short term. How much am I going to make tomorrow? How much money have I got in my bank account tomorrow? Proper planning will give you that performance that you want to achieve in the end result, and you can get there. Anyone can do whatever they want to as long as they put their mind to it and as long as they plan along the way.
So you've spoken about there, planning, proper planning, being in for the long game, and why people might not, and that is that excited, we're on a roll, let's just go with it sort of thing. But what is proper planning as opposed to the back of a napkin planning, which we know some of the great ideas are born on the back of a napkin plan? But what is proper planning, Clayton?
Well, look, everyone can come up with their own plans, but some of my ideas are, obviously there's a business plan, right? Everyone should have a business plan, but planning along the way after you've written your business plan is potentially adjusting your business plan. If we have, something's gone wrong, 3 or 6 months down the track, you need to adjust your business plan. So that's all part of planning. Setting targets, setting budgets, knowing where you are at any given time of the year. There's so many business owners out there that have no idea how much cash flow they really need, or where they are, where they're sitting. Are they profitable? And if maybe they're selling a product that's not profitable and it's bringing the rest of their business down, so maybe get rid of that product. Or like I've said in some past times is you might have a customer that you have to break free, so get rid of that customer. So planning is constant. You don't just plan on January 1st for a calendar year and go, okay, this is where I want to be after Christmas. You plan throughout the year. You have a monthly plan, a quarterly plan, an annual plan, and you work through them along the way. And then you can break it down to a finance plan, a marketing plan, a people plan. There's so many different sub plans within your big plan. I know it sounds confusing or a bit full on, but it's really not that hard. You can make your own plan to be how you want it to be. I'm sure a lot of people have business coaches and things like that, so they just want to use their ideas of how to plan and how to get there.
But with your own planning, Clayton, obviously you've had many businesses. I spoke to you about your businesses before this, and you're obviously an advocate. And I can remember, I can appreciate and relate to a lot of business owners out there. I used to think, when I first started this company and I was a CEO, I was like, well, what does a CEO do? Right? Until the business grows and grows, and then you realize that actually planning is the full-time job, right?
Absolutely.
And looking at different scenarios and budget forecasting and what if, everything else scenarios. But how do you manage and monitor your? I'm guessing you're basing, some of your plans now based on a mixture of ambition and previous results, right? So you can sort of estimate what's real and what's likely to happen, or what the likelihood is. What would you say to business owners who might just be starting planning and they don't have many years of benchmarks to go by? How does one start planning and budgeting when we don't have that history to fall back on?
Well, what I would say to those people, and this is a really good question, because this is, as you know, when we open up a brand new MBE centre, right, in the middle of nowhere in Brisbane somewhere, some suburb, and we do a lot of research in terms of demographics and things like that, but you've got a brand new owner that's just opened up a business. They've got no customers, they've got no database, they've got nothing. They're starting from scratch. So what we do is we sit them down and we say, okay, where do you want to be within the first 6 or 12 months? When do you want to break even? That's another great thing to look at. How much capital have you got behind you to get you through the next 3, 6, 12 months? So once they've answered that question, then you know when they want to break even, you know how much money they really need to make by the end of the year, and then you can work backwards. So if somebody wants to, just for argument's sake, earn $100,000 in a year, right? All I've done is I just break it down. We work backwards. We find out when they can break even, how much they need to do in their sales, what their gross margins are, and you can actually piece it all together. So that's sort of my financial plan. But it's all about really starting at the end and working backwards when it comes to brand new plans like that.
I think that's a really, really important part that's often overlooked. What I see as business owners, we say, this is where I am. This is my problem. How do I fix it? This is where I am. How do I fix it? And we forget to add that where component in. So from what you're saying, you might be sitting with a business owner. One business owner might want to earn 100,000, another might want to earn 500,000. And depending on their personal goals, we can then work that back.
Exactly.
What would you say to business owners who, I'm sure, have you had the scenario when you've got a brand new franchisee and they say they want to earn $2 million in their first year, and you know that that's probably not likely? How do you handle that and try to stay, the ambition and the drive? How do you cope with that?
Look, I would have had that conversation before we signed that person on in the beginning anyway, because, one thing I am very good is I'm very realistic. I actually have two sort of targets when I set my goals and my targets, and the franchisees, we have our target that we want to achieve, and then we have our stretch target. But look, for instance, with my growth of the company and where I want to be, I want to be at 100 stores in the next 5 years. We've got 40 stores now. So then I break down, okay, I need to open up, X number of stores per year. It takes this many leads to close a deal on a new business, right? And then I even break it down to, how do I get those leads? So for argument's sake, for every 100 leads, I make a sale. So how do I get, if I want to make 7 sales in a year, I need 700 leads. So how am I going to get to those leads? So that's more about sort of my marketing and sort of growth plan. There's so many different parts to the plan. I mean, my business plan, if I had a copy here, I'd actually hold it up and show you. But my business plan is probably about that thick. Okay. And I every year I actually put it together. I bind it. I print it out. I bind it. One other thing I've realised, if it's not written, it's not real. Problem with computers and technology these days, and Dropbox and all these folders, is we have so much stuff on our computers and we just forget that it's there. Yeah. So I have plans, stuck up on my wall, and I have my business plan in front of me, and I actually go back to the plan and look at it and go, okay, this is where I am so far for the quarter, or for the 6 months, or for the 3 quarters. How am I going to get there for the rest of the year to achieve that?
And you're relying on your experience there, on the how to get there. You've mentioned before, you use one of those common quotes around, failing to plan is planning to fail. And it's such a, it is a statement or a quote that's used often, but I don't think people appreciate the enormity of the weight of the quote itself sometimes and a lot of business owners are winging it, and they think that, well, why do I need to plan for a year or two? What I need to do is just make it through the month, or I need to make it through the next 2 months. I need to pay the bills. So I'm not going to focus on that, because I need to focus on the now. Now, what does that do for a business and a business owner when they're focused on the now? What happens there?
Well, again, they've got a very big cloud sitting in front of them and they can't see the end result. So You could have somebody that could be doing $1 million in sales and actually running at a loss. You could have somebody running a similar business doing half that and actually making a profit. And until those people actually finish planning, sorry, until those people finish the plan, they won't actually know where they're going.
I think also, I think there's a certain type of magic works when you've got a plan and it's documented and you start talking about it. You start articulating it with people and you start sharing it with your team and you talk to people about it. Opportunities that are in sync with that plan are recognized because the plan is there. If the plan's there, then opportunities are missed because it's not in the roadmap. And we do miss opportunities because we haven't had that foresight, if you like.
Yeah, and that can be down to how many clients do you need, and how many phone calls is it going to take to get that number of clients, and and that's all when KPIs come into play as well. Because I mean, in my business plan, I've actually got a whole set of KPIs as well, and they're very, very important. Because again, how do you get there? That's how you plan to achieve what you want to achieve. You've just got to dissect the end result. So
I think obviously KPIs are a massive part of a business as well, and measuring and deciding what those KPIs are. Who are you talking to decide what the KPIs are for your business? And a lot of them are shared. But Clayton, what I wanted to talk to you about today was the people in your business. So as we said earlier, you've got a lot of franchisees. You're dealing with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of customers nationally. How do you cope with that? What is your philosophies? How do you bring that into a people plan, if you like? Where would you start with that volume?
The biggest thing is, especially when you're a smaller business growing, is what are your values? What are your personal values, and what makes up the type of person that you're looking for? And if you can try and find those people, it's very hard because you can't interview somebody and say, right, do you have these 10 values? Because they're just going to say yes. But as you go through, one thing I've learned is doesn't matter if they're employees, if they're contractors, suppliers, whatever, they're still part of your business. Your marketing people, your accountant, your bank manager, whoever you deal with that has 2 feet and a heartbeat is a person. If those people cannot come under your banner of your values to achieve your plan, you need to cut them loose. It's as simple as that. You have to make a judgment call. I think another reason why we tend to fail is because we've got the wrong people in our business, and we think, oh, I really like that person. She'll, he or she will do better. We've sat down. I mean, if you've sat down with someone, you've given them a chance, and they haven't presented, the results that you want, you need to cut them loose. And that's another big problem in our business, is that we're failing those people. One thing, I did a big course in the US one year, and some people would have heard of Harry Friedman, and he said one way of setting someone go is telling them you'd be happier somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's one of the most easiest way of letting people go. You'd be happier somewhere else.
We're freeing you up for new opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, that's not necessarily saying that person's a bad person. It's just that they've got different values to you. They've got different goals. They've got different ideas. And once you won't find that person unless you sift through it's like finding a perfect diamond in the rough. And unless you just sift through some of the non-perfect diamonds, you will find the perfect diamond and find the perfect business partner, or find the perfect employee, or the perfect accountant. I mean, I've been through plenty of accountants in my life. I've got a good one now. But don't take second best. I've set a level of expectation on myself and of people that are around me. And I make great friends in business. I love networking, but at the same time, I'm here to run a business and I'm here to make money, and that's all there is to it. People don't open a business to lose money. People open a business to make money and make a good living, and that's something that crowds our judgment. is that we sort of end up taking a lot of stragglers along the way. And I'm not necessarily talking staff members, I'm talking suppliers and partners and people that you partner with as well. So that's sort of where the people come into it as well. And part of the planning is also planning based around the people, right? I mean, when I first took over the Perth CBD location in 2013, I had one staff member. The business was turning over about $15,000 a month. And I was thinking, okay, some people said to me, why did you buy a business that was only turning over $150,000 a year? I said, because I could see the forest through the trees, and I sat down, I analysed it, I interviewed a lot of people, and I did over $500,000 in my first year. So, there is a way, and I couldn't do that alone. I had like 4 staff at the end. I had part-timers, I had casuals, I had graphic designers, I had, so nobody can do $1 million in sales on their own. It's just impossible. There's always going to be partners of some sort out there, and that's where the people come into play. And I don't think we think about that enough.
I think anyone who's been in business for a wee while will really resonate with what you say, because I think it comes with experience, and not as an experience as you've been burned, or maybe it is that you've been burned, but it's like we were very forgiving of people. I found we've been very forgiving. Most people you meet are very forgiving, and we don't we get busy, and because we're busy off doing what we're doing, and this, on the case of the new accountant or a new bookkeeper, I've been in that scenario myself lots of times where that's not really performing. There's something not quite right there about the relationship and the shared values, but you're too busy to fix it, and you leave it going on, and that could be the same as a staff member.
Yep. Yeah? It can burn a big hole in your pocket without you knowing. It's a slow burn.
Yeah. And I hear that business owners take a lot of responsibility for the failings of other people, and I think that also comes through experience. Well, no, actually, I've done my part. I've told you my expectations. This is what we need. I used to do that as well. Take on. Well, why haven't I communicated better? Yeah. Maybe it's my process. Maybe it's my this. Maybe it's that. And then over time, you realize, well, no, it's not me. It's you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
As you say, but so. How do you, so with 2 things on there, one, your values when you're trying to align yourself with partners or franchisees, it's obviously really, really important you get the right people on the bus there. Do you shortcut that to just like maybe 2 or 3 shared values?
I've got my top values. I mean that is a good point. I probably have too many values, to be honest with you. I probably need to reduce the number of values I've got, because I'm probably trying to find a needle in a haystack. But what I've decided, or what I've done in the past, is I've prioritized the values. And one of my biggest values is loyalty. At the end of the day, if you don't have loyalty from your people, then the rest of it doesn't mean anything, right? So you can't really make heads nor tails of the rest of the values without that true loyalty and contribution from that person that you're working with.
Yeah. How do you? My mind's ticking along there. Where do people start with? Where do business owners start with a people plan? What does that look like?
Look. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at your target, and let's say you need 5 people to achieve $1 million in sales, you start at the $1 million, you work back, and these are probably aimed at people that are turning over a low volume and trying to scale their business, and then you start placing the people in as part of your budget of when you want to add that person on. I'm probably talking more staff orientated here. Yeah. Like I say, when I first took over my business, I had 1, and I think in the end I had 4 plus me, and I didn't add 4 people all at once. But what I did do was I put people on, they didn't fit to what I was looking for, so I moved them on and tried somebody else. And eventually, towards the end, I had a fantastic team that were very loyal and trustworthy and honest and hardworking and all the rest of it. And I'd reward them for that. But it should just be part of the plan of growth. when you want to put that person on, and when you want to add to the team and create a new role, or that kind of thing. And I did the same when I took over MBE Australia as well. There was only a couple of people at head office, and then I created a marketing management role, and I created the finance role, and we had the IT and infrastructure role and the operations role. So that's when a good leader can start delegating. So a good CEO of a company can then, once they've got their people in place, then can start delegating. And that's what a good leader does, is delegate. I have a lot of franchisees afraid to call me because they just think I'm crazy busy all day long. Now, my calendar's pretty full, but anybody can call me at any time. I've told them that. But they say, "Oh, you're always too, you'd be too busy for me." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not too busy for you." I actually jokingly, I actually jokingly say, I don't really do anything. I delegate everything and just make sure it gets done. So that I think that's important to know down the track when you start achieving those totals is don't think you can do it all yourself. Right? There's no way you can do it all yourself. We're not that'll be failing. That'll be planning to fail by trying to do it all yourself. And again, I know I've said this before as well, but for instance, we're not bookkeepers. We're business owners. We're entrepreneurs. We're born to sell and bring more business into our business. So why would I want to sit there for hours and hours trying to reconcile bank reconciliations in Xero and bank feeds and all this kind of stuff? I'm not interested in that. I'm not a bookkeeper. The bookkeepers are interested in that. That's why they're a bookkeeper. So you go and hire somebody to do that. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It might cost you a couple of $100 a month, or depending on what level of bookkeeping you have. My time is money. I'd rather pay somebody to do that, and then I'll go out and make another $20,000 a month in sales. What's $200 or $300 or $400? It's nothing compared to getting a new client, or going to a networking event and meeting somebody big that you can potentially do business with, and you can court them for 6 months until they finally say yes. Or so again, we people are important, but it's not just the people in our business; it's the people that surrounded our business.
Yeah, I think that's important for you to inspire your franchisees around. You're not here to do it all yourself, and a big part of planning, when you're talking about proper planning, is to know the costs both ways and the cost benefit of each decision. Yes, it might cost you $50,000 for this employee or part-time employee, but the revenue that can generate would be XYZ. It might be 4 times, 10 times the amount, whatever. Absolutely, depending on the business. Yeah. And planning is about where do you sit on risk in the planning? Are you a risk averse person? Are you a middle of the road person? Are you all in, Clayton?
I originally had something written down for my little end comment, but I've got something else up my sleeve for that one. Okay. But I will tell you about the risk, because I wrote it down on this bit of paper. Okay. And I said, don't be afraid to take a risk. It could pay off. And I can tell you something else now, Lorraine. I have taken so many risks in my life. I would say 80% of them have paid off and 20% of them haven't. I take calculated risks. Yeah. But you've got to spend money to make money, and exactly. You've got to give someone a go. Because you just give them a go for a month or 2 or 3 or whatever. If they're not doing what they said they're going to do, cut them loose and move on to the next one. Take it as a lesson learned. You don't know; it could make you $1 million, or it could lose you $10,000. I don't mind putting up 10 grand to potentially make $1 million. Yeah. Bad scenario, but yeah, one thing I did write down is, please always don't be afraid to take risks. I've met a lot of people through District 32 over the years, and I've had this conversation with them, and some of them have actually gone and taken that risk, and I think they've paid off. I've actually got feedback from people over the years that just little small businesses, and they've gone out and spent $300 or $500 or whatever, and all of a sudden they've got this big client on board that's now a $10,000 a year client. It's like, yay, it worked. But you might spend $500 and not get anyone this month. But you've got to look at the calculated risks over the period of time.
And we have to keep going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, Clayton, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom there. Hopefully this will inspire people to start planning better, to revisit a plan that might be buried, written 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. You said there that you had a parting comment that you had written. How did you, what was the last comment that
I did.
What was your parting gift?
My final thought, and I've said this before as well, and I swear by it, is 80% of your time as a business owner should be spent on sales, marketing, or networking related items. 20% of your time should be spent on admin. If everyone listening can actually spend a week writing down all the little 15 or half-hour increments of what they do in any given week, I can almost guarantee you'd probably be spending more like 70 or 80% of your time on admin. If you can stop that one, if that's one little tiny thought I can give, and something that I took on, is stop spending time on admin and get someone else to do it, and get out and sell, meet people, network, marketing. It's all related out of sales and marketing. Everything's related around sales and marketing. That's the success of your business. I'm not saying don't do any admin, because we have to do some sort of admin, like log onto the bank account and pay some bills, because I don't want anyone else logging onto my bank account. Yeah. But just little things like that. But get a system. I've got a system where the bookkeeper sends me an ABA file, and all I've got to do is log into the bank, go click, and boom, all the bills are paid anyway. So, but 80-20 rule, 80% of your time marketing or sales related, 20% of your time on admin and bookwork or whatever.
I love that. I love it though, because it's really important. We are in sales and marketing, and we're in the people business.
Yep.
We need to plan.
Absolutely.
And plan for our success. Clayton, thank you very, very much. I really enjoyed chatting to you, as I always do.
Thanks,
and yeah, I'll just mention Clayton Treloar, MBE National, and people can find you. I'll pop your contact details down below the video. Thank you very much.